Have you ever made a small mistake that haunted you years later? As we move into our later years, every decision we've made, big or small, seems to echo a little louder. The habits we hold on to, the things we avoid, and the ways we treat ourselves all have a way of compounding. What felt like a harmless decision in our 50s or 60s might silently shape our happiness, health, and relationships in our old age. In this video, we're diving into 8 surprisingly common mistakes that many seniors make without realizing just how damaging they can be. These aren't the obvious mistakes we often hear about. Instead, we'll look at hidden habits and overlooked decisions that slowly chip away at your well-being, relationships, and peace of mind. Stay with me until the end because even recognizing just one of these early on could spare you years of regret and help you build a stronger, happier future. Now let's get started. Number 1. Neglecting social connections. One of the most damaging mistakes older adults often make, sometimes without even noticing, is allowing their social world to quietly shrink. Retirement comes, the kids move away, friends pass on or become less mobile, and suddenly the once busy calendar begins to grow quieter. It may start with a few quiet weekends, but over time those moments stretch into weeks of solitude, then months of emotional withdrawal. And here's the catch. Many seniors don't even realize it's happening until loneliness has already taken hold. Loneliness isn't just a feeling, it's a serious health risk. Studies have shown that chronic loneliness can significantly raise the risk of cognitive decline, heart disease, depression, and even early death. It often begins with something as simple as skipping a gathering or not returning a phone call. There's no one big moment that announces, "You're becoming isolated." It just creeps in disguised as rest or independence. When you stop reaching out, when routines replace relationships, you start losing the invisible threads that hold your emotional world together. We are wired for connection no matter how old we are. Contrary to the old belief that friendships are only for the young, meaningful connections are more vital than ever in your 60s, 70s, and beyond. Think about Walter, an 82-year-old man who used to spend his weekends playing cards with his neighbors. After a minor fall, he stopped attending for just a few weeks. Those weeks turned into months. Before long, his phone stopped ringing. He told himself he liked the peace and quiet, but in truth, he missed the laughter, the teasing, the joy of simply being remembered. He wasn't unhappy exactly, but he wasn't fully alive either. You don't need a crowd. One phone call, one weekly lunch, one book club meeting can make all the difference. The bravest thing isn't facing physical illness, it's picking up the phone and saying, "Hey, I was thinking about you." If you've pulled back from people, not out of choice but out of habit, it's never too late to step forward again. Because when we stop connecting, we don't just lose others, we lose parts of ourselves. Number 2, ignoring physical health until it's too late. Another mistake that quietly robs older adults of joy and independence is treating health as something to think about later. Many seniors wait until a crisis forces them to act, but by then the damage is often already done. Skipping annual checkups, avoiding screenings, or ignoring small aches because they seem normal for my age can turn manageable conditions into life-altering ones. How many times have you heard someone say, "I wish I had gone to the doctor earlier"? A simple knee pain can turn into limited mobility. A little shortness of breath might signal heart trouble, Neglecting dental health could lead to infections that affect not just your mouth, but your entire body. These issues don't explode overnight. They build up slowly, often silently. By the time the problem demands attention, it's much harder to reverse. But beyond the doctor visits, it's the small daily choices that make the most difference. Seniors who stay active, eat nourishing foods, and prioritize sleep often find that they not only feel healthier but more alive. It isn't about trying to look young again. It's about giving yourself the best chance to maintain strength, balance, and energy for the years ahead. Consider Susan, a 74-year-old woman who brushed off her doctor's advice to stay active. She felt fine, so why bother? Over time, her muscles weakened, her balance worsened, and one day a simple trip over a rug left her with a broken hip. The road to recovery was long and painful, and she often said she wished she had listened sooner. Susan's story isn't rare. It's one of the most common patterns seniors face. Taking your health seriously doesn't mean living in fear of illness. It means respecting your body enough to notice the signals it sends and responding with care instead of denial. Regular checkups, daily movement, staying hydrated, and getting enough sleep are investments in your freedom to live the way you want. Number 3. Holding on to grudges from the past. One of the most underestimated mistakes that quietly poisons your peace in old age is carrying unresolved anger or resentment deep into your later years. Maybe it's a betrayal that never got closure, a harsh word from a sibling that still stings, a misunderstanding that drove a wedge between you and someone you once loved. The details vary, but the result is the same: bitterness that lingers long after the event is over. Many people assume that with age comes automatic wisdom and peace, but the truth is, time doesn't heal all wounds, at least not on its own. What time does is give us more years to carry the weight if we choose not to let it go. Holding on to old pain is exhausting. It drains your joy and clouds your ability to enjoy the present. It can even make your body feel heavier, as if the anger has taken root not just in your mind but in your bones. There's an old saying: holding a grudge is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to get sick. And it's true. The person who hurt you may have moved on. They may not even remember what they did. But every time you replay that moment in your head, your body relives it too, raising your blood pressure and tightening your muscles. Consider Frank, a 78-year-old retired school principal who hadn't spoken to his brother in over 30 years due to a family inheritance dispute. Every Thanksgiving, Frank would say, "He knows where I live." But deep down, Frank was the one suffering, not because of the disagreement, but because of the pride that kept the door closed. In his quiet moments, Frank often wondered what might have happened if he had just picked up the phone. Forgiveness doesn't mean pretending the hurt never happened. It doesn't mean you agree with what was done to you. It means deciding that your peace of mind is more important than being right. You don't have to tell them, and you don't even have to speak to them again. But you can choose to release that weight today. Number 4. Living without a sense of purpose. A mistake that leaves many older adults feeling restless and disconnected is letting go of purpose after retirement. When the job ends, the kids are grown, and the daily schedule loosens. It's easy to slip into a rhythm that feels calm at first, but slowly starts to feel empty. Purpose isn't just for the young or ambitious. It's the fuel that keeps your days meaningful, your heart engaged, and your spirit alive. Without purpose, days begin to blur together. Morning routines become mindless, and evenings stretch long and uneventful. Consider Helen, 76, who, after retiring from her job as a librarian, spent months drifting. Her days were filled with television and quiet lunches alone. She told herself she was resting, but deep inside she felt like something was missing. One day, a neighbor mentioned a local reading program for children. Helen signed up thinking it would be something to pass the time. What she discovered was a renewed sense of energy, joy, and connection. Those 30 minutes of reading each week brought color back into her life. Purpose doesn't have to be grand. It can be small moments like teaching your grandson how to plant tomatoes or organizing old photos from a lifetime of memories. When you find something that makes you feel needed, useful, and alive, you rediscover a sense of direction that no retirement clock can take away. Number 5, refusing to ask for help when you need it. One of the quietest forms of suffering many older adults experience is not physical pain or financial hardship, but pride. Many seniors struggle in silence, refusing to ask for help even when it's deeply needed. There's a fear, perhaps, that asking for help means admitting weakness. But the truth is, asking for help is one of the most courageous things you can do. It's not a sign of failure, it's a sign that you care enough about your well-being to take action. Think about George, a 79-year-old man who lived alone after his wife passed away. He prided himself on being self-sufficient, but over time he started missing meals, forgetting to pay bills, and ignoring messages from his doctor's office. His daughter didn't find out until months later when she visited and found piles of unopened mail. George didn't want to be a burden. He didn't want to admit that grief had taken a toll or that daily tasks had become overwhelming. But when he finally allowed others to step in, his world began to open up again. Asking for help doesn't mean losing control. It often gives you the ability to keep control of your life. Number 6, dwelling on the good old days and rejecting the present. One surprisingly harmful habit that sneaks into many seniors' lives is clinging so tightly to the past that the present becomes something to resent rather than embrace. It starts with innocent nostalgia, remembering old songs, talking about how things used to be, sharing stories from younger years. But when these memories become the lens through which we see everything today, it can leave us stuck, bitter about what's changed, blind to what's still beautiful, and disconnected from the life unfolding around us. Martha, 81, often told her friends, "Back when I was young, people had manners. These days, no one respects anything." Over time, she became more withdrawn, convinced that the world no longer had a place for her values. She stopped attending community events, avoided younger neighbors, and spent more time alone. What she didn't realize was that her desire for connection hadn't changed. She had just chosen to stand still. When we choose to stay open to new music, new ideas, new opportunities, we keep our hearts soft and our minds sharp. The world may change, but you still belong in it. The present is yours to embrace. Number 7, letting fear dictate your decisions. As we get older, it's natural to become more cautious. We've lived long enough to know what can go wrong, but one of the most destructive mistakes seniors can make is allowing fear to dictate their decisions. Fear of change, fear of getting hurt. It's normal to be cautious, but too much caution can quietly build a cage around your life. It starts with small things, declining an invitation because you don't know many people there, avoiding a new hobby because you're not sure you'll be good at it, or staying home instead of traveling because of discomfort. Fear itself isn't the enemy, it's a signal. But when we let fear dictate our actions, it shrinks our world rather than expanding it. Take Harold, 72, who had always wanted to paint but never picked up a brush. He told himself he was too old, that real artists start young. But the truth was, he was afraid. It wasn't until his granddaughter gave him a watercolor set and said, "I want you to paint with me," that he found the courage to try. And what he discovered was joy, not mastery, not fame, but joy. Fear wants to keep us safe, but sometimes it keeps us small. Number 8, avoiding conversations about death, finances, and legacy. Finally, one of the most quietly harmful mistakes seniors make is avoiding the big conversations: death, money, and what happens after they're gone. These topics can feel heavy, uncomfortable, or even frightening, but dodging them doesn't make them disappear. It only creates confusion, stress, and sometimes conflict for your loved ones. Consider Louise, 84, who had always avoided discussions about money or end-of-life care. When a sudden stroke left her unable to speak, her family was left scrambling. No one knew what she wanted. Contrast that with Leonard, 79, who sat down one weekend and walked through everything with his sons. From paperwork to his funeral song, Leonard made his wishes clear. When he passed away, his family knew exactly what to do. These conversations don't mean you're giving up. They mean you're taking control. You're shaping your legacy with clarity and love. Final thoughts. As we wrap up this video, take a moment to reflect on the 8 common but unexpected mistakes we've explored. Which one hit home for you? Have you noticed any of these patterns showing up in your life or in someone close to you? Growing older isn't about avoiding every mistake. It's about recognizing where we have the power to change and make our remaining years not just longer, but richer, more meaningful, and more connected. Thank you for watching, and I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating content that informs and inspires you. See you in the next video.